Have you ever sat with someone who just seems to have it all figured out? You know that person. They walk into a room and there's this calm about them. They make decisions quickly and move forward without that weight of doubt sitting on their shoulders. They seem to sleep peacefully while the rest of us are replaying conversations from earlier in the day, wondering if we said something wrong. It's fascinating, really. And I want to share something with you today that might change how you see success completely. The truth is, successful people weren't born without doubts. They weren't created with a special gene that makes them immune to uncertainty. What they've actually done is something much simpler and much more powerful. They've learned to manage how they think about decisions and challenges. They've trained their minds to move through uncertainty in a way that keeps them progressing forward, instead of getting stuck in loops of analysis. Think about the most successful people you know or have heard about. Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk. These are incredibly intelligent people. They're sharp and aware. But what people notice most about them isn't how much they think about things. It's how quickly they move. They think deeply about what matters, and then they take action. They understand something fundamental that transforms how they move through life. Let me explain what I mean by sharing something I've observed. When you watch someone who's truly successful, you notice they have a different relationship with thinking. They think purposefully. They gather information, they consider what matters, and then they decide. Once they decide, they commit to that decision and move forward. They don't reopen the decision every 5 minutes. They don't spend hours second-guessing themselves. They move into action and learn from real experience. Compare this to someone who gets stuck. This person thinks about a decision. Then they think about it more. They imagine different scenarios. They wonder about things that might happen. They consider what people might think. And in that process of thinking, they become more uncertain, not more clear. The more they think, the less confident they become. This is something really important to understand because most of us have experienced this feeling. Here's what I want you to know. Successful people understand that thinking serves a purpose, but endless thinking actually moves you away from your goals. When you think too much about a decision, you're not gathering more information that will help you. You're creating stories in your head about things that haven't happened yet. You're imagining problems that might never exist. You're borrowing worry from a future that you haven't even lived yet. I want to share a practice that many successful people use, and when you understand this, it can genuinely change your life. It's called giving yourself a window for decision-making. Successful people realize that they don't need infinite time to make most decisions. They understand that about 80% of the information they'll ever need is available right now. The remaining portion either doesn't exist yet, or it truly doesn't matter enough to delay progress. Think about decisions you're facing. Should you take that opportunity? Should you start something you've been dreaming about? Should you have that conversation that matters to you? When you give yourself time to think deeply, but also set a boundary around that time, something magical happens. You start trusting your judgment. You start believing that you can handle whatever comes from the decision. This is where something crucial shifts. Successful people have learned something that transforms everything. They've discovered that the best way to gather real information is through taking action, not through more thinking. When you actually do something, you learn what really happens. You find out that people respond differently than you imagined. You discover that things work out in ways you couldn't have predicted while sitting in your head thinking about them. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. At first, you thought about balance. You thought about pedaling. You thought about steering. All that thinking was slowing you down and making it harder. But the moment you stopped thinking and just rode, it became natural. Your body learned through experience. That's exactly how successful people operate in every area of their lives. They understand that some truths can only be learned through doing, not through thinking harder. There's something really beautiful about understanding this. When you realize that action teaches you more than thinking does, a weight lifts. You don't have to be perfect before you start. You don't have to have everything figured out. You can begin with what you know, take a step forward, learn from what happens, and adjust as you go. This is how every successful person got to where they are. I want to talk about something that sits at the heart of all of this. The reason people get stuck in endless thinking isn't because they're overthinking. It's because they're not fully trusting their own judgment. When you believe in yourself, when you have confidence in your ability to handle things, your mind settles. It stops creating all those scenarios. It stops imagining dangers. It becomes clear and focused. Now, here's the beautiful part. You don't build this confidence by thinking about it. You build it by making decisions and following through. Every time you make a choice and it works out, you build trust in yourself. Every time you do something you were uncertain about and you handle it well, you strengthen your belief in your own capability. Every time you take action despite doubt and things turn out to be manageable, you weaken that voice that tells you to keep overthinking. This is why successful people seem so peaceful about uncertainty. They have a track record. They faced doubt before and come through it. They know from real experience that they can handle things. This isn't arrogance, it's earned confidence that comes from having done hard things and survived them. There's something else that successful people understand deeply. They've learned to let go of the idea that things need to be perfect before they put them out into the world. When you meet someone truly successful, you often learn that their first version of something was far from perfect. It had problems, it had rough edges, but it was real and it worked well enough to learn from. The products and companies that changed the world weren't perfect when they began. They were good enough. They were launched into the real world. People used them. People found problems. The creators learned and improved. Each version got better. This cycle of launch, learn, and improve is how progress actually happens. When you realize you don't have to be perfect to start, you become free. There's a freedom that comes with this understanding. You stop trying to imagine every possible problem before you begin. You stop trying to solve challenges that might never come up. You become willing to put your work, your idea, your effort out into the world knowing it's not perfect, and you're confident that you can improve it based on real feedback. Let me share what daily life looks like for someone who has shifted into this way of thinking. They practice making decisions on small things. What to have for lunch? They decide quickly. What to wear? Decided. How to respond to an email? They handle it. By practicing quick decisions on small things every single day, they're building the capability to make larger decisions with the same clarity. They also spend time around people who think this way. There's something contagious about being around action-oriented people. When you're with people who decide and move forward, who embrace learning through doing, you naturally start thinking this way too. You become like the people you spend time with. Many people find a phrase or thought that helps them when the uncertainty voice gets loud. It might be something like, I can handle whatever comes, or I'll figure it out, or good enough is the beginning. When the mind wants to spiral into analysis, having something simple to come back to helps tremendously. Here's what I want you to understand as we finish. This ability that successful people have, this way of moving through life with purpose and clarity, it's not something you're born with. It's something you develop. It's a skill that grows stronger the more you use it. You're absolutely capable of thinking this way. You can start today. Right now, there's probably something you've been thinking about for too long, something where your mind keeps going in circles. You could give yourself permission to think about it for a set amount of time, gather the information that matters, and then decide. Then take one step forward. See what happens. Notice how you feel. Realize that you handled it. And then watch as your whole relationship with uncertainty starts to shift. The path that successful people walk isn't paved with perfect planning and endless analysis. It's paved with purposeful thinking, followed by committed action. It's paved with learning through doing and adjusting based on real experience. It's a path that's completely available to you right now. And the beautiful thing is, the moment you decide to walk it, your life starts changing. Because moving forward, even imperfectly, beats standing still perfectly every single time.